as promised, we are back on the Chosen Life podcast with co-host Wayne Frazier of Doug Laurie Sports, the man that gives you your sports memorabilia and entertainment memorabilia needs. I'm Jonathan A. Cohen, author of The Bible 3.0, launching this month. Get going, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, pick up your copy. You're ready to live your chosen life and find your lifestyle and the best lifestyle you can. Learn how. It's a guidebook for your future. Wayne, we promised last week, we talked about NFL busts and surprises. You brought us a very interesting proposition because you put down Baltimore and San Francisco as being in the Super Bowl. And the prediction was that it's going to be Baltimore, correct?
Yes.
Okay. My prediction, it's going to be the 49ers. This is going to be the year. Brock's going to be healthy. I see it's going to happen. If they do make it to the Super Bowl, we're going to have a bet on this one. You want to know how the bet I propose? All goes right for us?
Sure.
I'll go double and nothing for you on the Ryu jersey.
Oh, boy.
Woo-hoo. I may have to pay double, folks, or I'll pay nothing. He'll think about that one. Let's see them first make the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So
I guess that's it.
But when the NFL MVP voting happens, I believe it happens at the end of the regular season. Does not include the playoffs, correct?
Right. That's correct.
Okay, so unfortunately, we will not know what's going to happen there. So season is finished. Playoffs are going on. And based on their statistics, at the end of the day, who is your NFL MVP this year?
It's Lamar Jackson, and I don't think it's even close. I think that there were a couple of guys, Dak Prescott, Bruck, Purdy, who are in the discussion. And then Lamar has just kind of far and away, not only has he been amazing as a quarterback and just gotten better and better and better as a passer, but I mean, he's over 800 yards now rushing. And we're talking about this as we tape week 17, where they just absolutely crushed the Dolphins, right? 18 of 21 for 326 yards, 5 touchdowns. Oh, and 6 for 35 on the ground too. So just that in a game that sealed them the number 1 overall seed against a team that's 11-5, that was only 1 game behind them, and just obliterated, made them look silly, right? Do I think that there's a world where if Purdy had a really good game last week, or if Dak Prescott had a really good game last week, that maybe it would still be close? I don't know. I think that statement just absolutely just puts the hammer on it, right? And I don't think that Jackson's going to play this week either. I think I'm actually hoping that they're going to give Malik Cunningham a start, which would be amazing after they plucked him off the Patriots squad, right? That would be outstanding. Do I think that Purdy and Prescott are necessarily that far behind Jackson? No, I don't really. But I just think that when you look at Jackson, if you were to take Jackson and reduce his running statistics by 75%, he would still be your leader as the MVP, because they're 13-3, because he has been almost flawless as a passer. And now you add that other stuff in there, it's his year.
My argument is going to be, and I know, I'm a big Purdy fan, so don't get me wrong, but you put Josh Fields in that 49ers system, and I think the guy is unbelievable. You put Fields in that Baltimore system, I don't think he's doing what Lamar Jackson's doing. To me, Lamar is the more valuable player in that sense. Who's the most valuable for his team. Plus, statistical wise, I think he nailed it. I think as you were looking around the 3-quarter mark, I think they were still neck and neck, and I think Jackson just took off. But playoffs come, and the 49ers have some unfinished business, and I think this is going to be their year. But was that long ago that there were rumbles that Lamar Jackson was going to get traded because him and Baltimore were that impasse? Wayne, how did they solve that? Because it looked like it was insurmountable. How did they put that together at the end?
I don't know how much of that was contrived BS, and I don't know how much of it was actual. There was some acrimony between the two. I think it was just, I think Jackson, I think it worked for the best is the best way you can look at it. I wonder, when we talk about it being contrived, there's two ways to look at contrived. Was it contrived in that Jackson really didn't feel that antipathy towards the Ravens management, and so they just kind of, let them think what they're going to think? Or was this a little bit of the Ravens lighting a fire under Lamar Jackson's butt, who has not been bad by any stretch of the imagination? He's been a top 5 quarterback the whole time.
But he's
But
really good now.
yes, all of a sudden you say to him, okay, all right, you know what? Fine. We're going to give you this contract. And by God, you better live up to it. And he's done that and plenty more, right?
Yeah.
So, I look back on that now, and it seems so long ago that there was that contract negotiation going on there. And now it's all just giggles and puppies between, Jackson and the Ravens and the Baltimore fan base. And my gosh, you talk about the Lions getting better. You talk about, the Dolphins getting better if they can improve on the defensive side of the ball. Who's going to be better than Baltimore for the next 2 or 3 years? Who's going to be better than Baltimore? They still don't even have a running back. I mean, they have Lamar Jackson. That's a running back. They have Keaton Mitchell. They have Gus Edwards. Dobbins gets hurt every 5 minutes. They have Justice Hill. All those guys are really good running backs, but they don't have the running back. If they go out and get some really good running back in the offseason, they could be unstoppable next year. Just flat out unstoppable.
On a separate note, Wayne, I thought I'd bring this up because we were talking about this in another episode, but remember our friend Chuba Purdy? Chuba? I'm pretty sure, I've confirmed, I'm pretty sure it's Chuba, and I'll tell you why. So his real name is Preston Purdy, by the way.
Okay.
But Preston, his dad nicknamed him Chuba because he was 38 pounds as a 1-year-old. That's the history of Chuba Purdy.
And it's funny. People say now, I hear this now. Oh my gosh, your baby's too fat. Your baby's got too much weight on him. And where is Preston now?
Doing okay.
I think he's doing all right. I think he's pretty athletic.
He's going to get drafted into the NFL. His brother is going to go to the Super Bowl. I think he's doing well. So now, only beef I have with this MVP discussion, let's say we're good on Lamar Jackson. The issue I have is, why do we even bother calling it the MVP award? Why don't we just call it the top quarterback award? Because 99 out of 100 times, it's the quarterback. And it really gives nobody else a chance at it. And I would say maybe we have a top quarterback award, top offensive player, otherwise top defensive player. And also, while we're at it, can we also separate them by conference? Wouldn't that be interesting? Because, in baseball, we have the AL and NL MVP. Imagine we just made an MLB MVP. I personally would like to separate out this MVP discussion. How do you feel about that?
I kind of think it cheapens it. Like, I understand that just about everybody else in every other sport, every other award is this conference, that conference, this league, that league. I get it. But when you're calling somebody the most, that means the most. The whole entire subset of what you're talking about, that dude is the most valuable player, not by league or whatever else. So from my standpoint, I look at it that way, and I think I actually like it being, the single award. If you go back and look at the Cy Young, when they didn't award the Cy Young, there was only one in both leagues. You look at it now and people say, well, what the hell, that guy never won a Cy Young. And I'm like, well, they didn't award but one for a long time, right? And now it's like, oh, well, you're the Cy Young in the American League or the National League. Well, kind of to me, you're the friggin' Cy Young. You're the best pitcher. There's only one of those guys. So you got to pick.
So I got a proposition for you then, Wayne.
Okay.
We're going to have the top guy and the top person in football. Fine. I got you. So the way I have the chosen championship behind me, the picture of me flexing over there, right? In the NFL, when you have the MVP, can't you award him a championship with his silhouette on the championship? And for the next season, every game, when the game starts, he runs out wearing his championship belt because he is the champion. Wouldn't that be fun?
Well, you know what? You're talking XFL stuff now, which is fine. The NFL needs a little bit more of that and a little bit less poor officiating and worrying about what's on people's friggin' shoes and written in the back of the end zone, right?
What's the NFL stand for? The No Fun League.
Oh, really? I thought it stood for not for long. Isn't that what wasn't that what was that guy's name? Jerry Glanville from Atlanta? He got in the referee's face and said, NFL, if you keep making calls like that, son, it stands for not for long, because you won't be around here for very long. Just quickly, I got to ask you this too.
Please.
Who was the last NFL MVP not to be a quarterback? 2012. I'll give you a hint.
I'm trying to remember right now if it was a defensive player or a running back, and I'm drawing a gap. Not gonna get it.
Adrian Peterson.
There you go.
2012. Now, the second part of that question is, when is the last time a defensive player won the MVP in the NFL?
I thought you were gonna say MVP in the Super Bowl, and I was gonna say it was that Packers season, right? But still drawing a blank.
1986.
Lawrence Taylor?
Yeah, Taylor. And the crazy thing about that, I'm looking at the list here while we talk, right? So you go back and look, and it was actually a little more common that it was either a running back or a quarterback every other year, except for 1982, my favorite MVP pick of all time, Mark Mosley, the place kicker for the Redskins that year.
I thought you were gonna say O.J. Simpson, man. If you go back and look at his stats, he was really good.
He won the MVP in 73, right? But I just absolutely love the fact that, so you had Dan Marino, Joe Theismann, Skippy Year, Kenny Anderson, Brian Sipe, Campbell, Bradshaw, Walter Payton, and in the middle of there, Mark friggin' Mosley, the place kicker for Washington. He was not even that good that year, comparatively speaking. I still don't really understand that. He won 5 or 6 games that year, if I remember correctly, in the last seconds of the game. Like, he was the most clutch kicker ever. And if I remember correctly, too, Mark had the square toe, so he kicked straight on. He was one of the last straight on kickers, right? So he had that pilgrim-looking shoe with the squared off end on it. Good stuff. You don't get this stuff anywhere else, folks, other than except on the Chosen Pipe. That's right.
Laces out. That's all I gotta say. Laces out. So as the season finishes, regardless of where he finishes playoff wise, would you say that this year has been a year of vindication for Brock Purdy? All those people that said he's Mr. Irrelevant and blah blah, and that story's been told so much. At the end of the day, the guy has been steady. The guy's done everything they pretty much asked him to do. And I got to say, the 49ers must be thrilled to death with the guy in there.
Well, and let's not forget, we're talking about a guy coming off an incredibly bad injury, that there was a whole lot of question. How long is it going to be into the season before this guy's ready? Is he going to even be 100% during the year? Should we, that's why they signed Sam Darnold, because we just don't know, right? It's possible he may not be ready for a long time. It's possible he could, re-injure it somehow. And then we need a game manager, and we're going to hand it off to Christian McCaffrey 30 times, which, again, is a good plan.
How did Darnold do this year at the end?
I don't know. I'm paying attention.
Nice and warm for him.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I have it sitting here on my desk. Maybe I do. I do. I picked that up for myself because I like Sam Darnold. And I thought, you know what? This card has a reasonable chance to grow, because if he gets into a few games, he's going to play really well in that system. It looks like you're going back on the bench, Sam. Sorry, buddy.
Looks like you and Sam Darnold's mother get to enjoy the card.
But what I was going to say is, so we had that discussion about, is Purdy even going to be ready? He's not experienced enough to lead a team like this, blah, 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 blah. And then we heard, well, yeah, but he's in a system and he doesn't throw the ball deep that much. He still, despite the year that Lamar Jackson has had, using the metric of points added per play based on the quarterback, he's still the number 1 quarterback in the league. He's still averaging 9 yards an attempt, which puts him 3rd or 4th in the league at this point, I think. So he has been damn good. Now, does Purdy benefit from the fact that they've built a very good team around him? 100% they have. But it's hard for me to think of another team that had this much faith in that guy, Mr. Irrelevant, that coming off a terrible arm injury in a year that you clearly should be thinking you're going to the Super Bowl again, your answer is to sign Sam Darnold and get rid of Trey Lance. I mean, you want a vote of confidence? That's a pretty big vote of confidence. Like, my gosh. So if you like talk about job security and thinking if I throw a pick or 4 picks, it's still my team next week. This is still my locker room. And that whole team bought into Purdy almost friggin' immediately. Everybody was like, I don't know who the hell this kid is. But the minute he walked into the locker room, the minute he put his head in the huddle, it was like Joe Montana stepping in. Hey, this is my team. Shut up. We're going to go score. And that's what they did. And they've continued to do that.
And I love the story how Christian McCaffrey had to go and buy all the Christmas gifts for the linesmen because Purdy isn't getting paid. Like, he's still getting paid on that rookie last guy drafted contract, and they still got him at a bargain for 2 years so they could pay everybody else. Mm-hmm. He's got to wait 2 more years to get paid even. So you know what? It's getting, I think, a lot of NFL teams thinking you get the right quarterback because at the pay scale, you got to pay most of these guys. And if you don't have to pay them $50 million, whoa, we can get, and running backs are really cheap now. We can really build a team. So it gets people thinking, certainly.
Well, it's funny you talk about, you look at financials and how people think about, Tommy DeVito still living with his parents for the Giants and everything. Brock Purdy makes $850,000 a year, right? Mm-hmm. And people are like, oh, well, my God, that's almost $1 million. It is. And by the time you pay the taxes in the U.S. and California and his agent, he's probably clearing 300,000, 350,000, maybe 4. I know, again, that's a lot of money. But if you're living in in California, $400,000 a year is not really a whole lot to live on unless you're staying with somebody else.
And when you look at the top teams, when you got the top quarterback and those gifts they buy at Christmas for their teammates, Brock can't afford that. He probably can't even get a credit card limit to pay for what they pay for. Because now you're talking about, you're combining, you're buying Rolexes, you're buying custom golf carts, golf memberships. You're now in the $1 million, and he doesn't even have $1 million clean to be able to spend it. So good on Christian McCaffrey to see him through that. And mark my words, he will get paid one day. We've covered a lot of NFL, Wayne, over the last couple of weeks. So we're going to take another twist. And next week, we're going to come back, going to do some hockey talk.
I'm good for it.
Sorry lacking, and it's time to talk some hockey and what's been going on in, guess it, Toronto land with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So stay tuned. That's Wayne Frazier of Doug Laurie Sports. I'm Jonathan A. Cohen, author of The Bible 3.0, and we'll see you back real soon on The Chosen Life.